stop, never play like that. Those guys watch too many things, too many distractions. Guitar and amp is one unit. So you don't want to play. That's horrible. So I just want to do one thing really good. That's my teaching.
Well, I'm super excited about this. Tomo, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Obviously, this is a little bit of a different format than the podcast is usually filmed in. We're doing this remotely because you're in Boston, right?
Boston, yes.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Well, I'm really excited to drop in. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things.
All right.
I am so curious, starting from, you've been teaching at Berklee for over 30 years at this point.
Right.
When a new student sits down in front of you, they're 18, 19 years old, fledgling guitar player, they've passed the audition. What do you start with? How do you chart the course for them to get to where they're trying to go through their education with you?
Yeah, first I do really funny things. I ask, play major scale with one finger, one string, without looking at the neck. Can you play that? That's the first thing. So I see how that person learned guitar. I learned that. So next one, play any chord changes that you love and play and explain. Next, the person explain, okay, so play those chords in triads. Can you play this? All three different inversions all over the neck. Can you do that? Then I understand that person's technique. Then I teach that day how to learn guitar. Different way.
Yeah.
My way.
Yeah. What's your way?
Because I develop my way. So I explain that person has been doing. So then I play chords a little bit. I ask a little bit of improvisation. Then I can see something. Then next question I ask. So do you practice with backing track from YouTube? Yes. Okay. Somebody does not have too much, picking techniques and no dynamics. So you use amp simulation and you use headphone to practice, right? Yeah. You don't have amp, right? So I understand the situations. I have to figure it out, Then that takes about half an hour. So the homework is questionnaire. Questionnaire is write your whole full name and then list 5 guitar player or artists that influence you. And then next one, list 5 albums and 5 songs from the albums that you love. And then list your strength. List your weaknesses. List your gears. Then, last one, what would you like to work on this semester with me? What would you like to learn like that? Then, this one, I can understand personality. Person can really express themselves clearly or not.
Like in terms of things that they want to learn from you, what do students want to learn from you typically?
Hey folks, quick break here if you'll give me 2 seconds of your time. This podcast is really a labor of love, and the function is really to share the incredible stories and inspiration to help you along your journey as a musician. Now, we don't ask for anything in return, but if you want to help the show, one of the best ways that you can do it is to click the subscribe button below, leave us a comment, or leave us a like. That helps tell YouTube to spread this to more people like you. And if you really like the episode and you want to share it with a friend, that helps even more. Additionally, we've been thinking about cool ways that we can add more value to our community here. And our nerdy team over here has come up with a really cool new software tool for you. Basically, it's a slow down and looping tool for all of the platforms that you learn guitar on. It lives in your browser on top of YouTube and Instagram, and it allows you to slow things down, loop different sections so you can really focus and learn things from all of these videos. It's a super cool tool. I use it every single day myself, and we want to give it to you as the viewer for free. So all you need to do is click the link below, register for that, install it on your computer, And that is our gift to you. So with that, we'll get back into the episode.
Yeah, typically, want to be able to, improvise any chord changes, or, I want to be better overall, right, like that. And so, many way, I want to be a performer that, more detail. But the idea is, if somebody said, I want to be, touring, or I want to be amazing like that, and then that's will not happen, because you're not really deciding anything. You're dreaming. So the dream we have to turn into reality. So that's why this questionnaire is really turning point to that person. Yeah. So usually, funny, a lot of people come from different country to study with me at the Berklee, and first, second semester they had to wait because my spot is all taken. Because once people take, usually 2-3 semesters they take together, or few people take all the way, crazy. So this semester I have about 4 or 5 previous students from last semester or previous semester, and then maybe 30 students are all new. Everybody third semester level. And funny part is 80% of those students are Chinese students from China. It's great. Well, it's fun, yeah. Yeah, because I think I'm getting known in China, So, but anyway, so that questionnaire really helps me understand how much the person understand what's going on around them, or how much they understand what to follow, what to look for,
What do you think the biggest mistakes are that, these students are coming to you at, let's say, the intermediate level. They've done enough to pass their entry exam into Berklee. What mistakes are most common in that student?
Using the tablature and looking at the YouTube. Well, because what happened is they just visually copy everything and they can play visually, but they're not developing musicianship and ear training, because so much answers before they look for the answer.
How do you train around that? Yeah, how do you fix that problem?
Okay, first thing, I teach them how to set the amplifier. So no reverb. But this one, I'm not saying no reverb. I want you to believe reverb not exist in this world. That's the kind of game that you have to do. You want to be in the late 50s you're in. No reverb. Even you want to have a reverb, you don't have a reverb. So what do? You listen to sound and you deal with it. So it means you have to use picking volume dynamics. So first, I ask how you set the amplifier. Mostly people said, I set the guitar and I turn the amp a little bit louder, so comfortable. I like more warmer tone, so I raise a little bit more bass in the middle. I, turn down the treble. I love reverb. I put the real reverb. Okay, this is what we'll do. Here's a Hot Rod Deluxe. Volume at 2, and because loud enough, okay? Then turn everything all the way, but bass 0. That's my setup. This way you can't miss anything. Then guitar, never ever turn full 10. Keep it 8. Because full 10 means you can't play. It's impossible to play. That's the setup. Because first you have to make it difficult to play. You don't want to make it easy to play. If you learn trumpet or trombone or piano or drums, very difficult to make a good sound. But guitar, you plug in computer, everything take care of, almost like music industry is really ruining your technique in a way, right? So it's convenient, but so my job to really make them reality and less choices. So the amp setting, guitar setting. So first couple weeks, we deal with how to set up an amp and a guitar, really. So that's different, right? And then now, nobody asks about reverb because we hear without the reverb, that's the normal sound. Do you know what I mean? But funny part is, after midterm, I bring a pedal board. And I teach them how to use a pedal board with a single unit, not the multi-effect, But anyway, that's like a little bit too much information. But the first, basically they learn, okay, treble is all the way up. And then, volume is low. Now, next week 2, can I play your guitar? Okay. Okay. All right. So who set up this one? Nobody. I never check anything. All right, great. Pickup height is too high. What do you mean? Well, let me play. Turn loud, like the sounds go wah, wah, like that. Okay, listen to this. I just change the height. Everybody start laughing. What did you do? Well, I lowered the pickup. What's going on? Because magnet pulling your strings that you don't have any sustain.
Sustain. Wow.
Right. So I checked that. Next one, string height, too low, buzzing. Do you understand? It's buzzing. I don't know. This is buzzing. So I just change it. See, play this. Wow. Everything's so clean. Yeah. Because clean technique that you ask me to teach you, but your guitar is not helping you.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
In other words, an expensive guitar with poor setup that already not educating you. So that's my job. So everything I have to fix it. So almost like, Spencer, my job is almost like a fixing thing than showing something, because I don't have
the guitar tech's job.
Yeah, because my drawer is all guitar tools. So second week basically I have to fix all guitars.
Yeah, great. They're getting a free
even
setup.
I have all string new sets and I change it like that. So so a few weeks like that. Then third week I pick a song. I teach this nowadays. Blue Monk, really simple song, probably Then I teach the melody, exactly the fingering that I want the students to play. But this one already on a YouTube video, but I demonstrated exactly how to play. So this way, I teach something, they cannot forget every detail, because every detail on my unlisted playlist. So this way, I teach, they watch, I teach, they watch, and then when they come to our lesson, I make them, okay, put your phone, record it. So they record. After they record, I explain what was wrong, what was good. Then they fix it. They write a note.
And they watch the recording.
So basically, I teach the way that they cannot miss anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like this idea of having them film before you give the feedback.
Yes. Years ago, I used to say, okay, do you understand this? Oh, yeah, okay. Week later, same thing.
Yeah.
I noticed because I record myself almost every day to check how I play, But then I ask students, most students, they don't record themselves. They only record for maybe, make YouTube, Instagram video like that. No, Instagram video, you don't prepare. You just make it and you just post it. That way, you feel bad yourself and you practice more, That's what I do. Sometimes I post a video that I don't really feel good about it, but I post it, so I have to practice more. It's really true.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good strategy.
Yeah, that way I gain something from a free thing, So, okay, Blue Monk, right? Blue Monk, I teach. So now, use metronome at the 60, very, very slow, all downbeat. Then play twice, and I play chord, root 7/3, something simple, but finger picking. Same volume. So this way we learn dynamics. So single note you're playing, when you pick chords, you play softer, but people don't know. A lot of people don't know. So we learn that. So I teach this until they get it. I don't go to the next subject.
Shell voicings with dynamics.
Yep, exactly. I probably spend about 4 or 5 weeks. The reason is, this way, one thing, you get it. Next thing, easier. If you don't get few things, Yeah, 10 other things, the same thing. Become very, very mediocre, It's not good. So I just want to do one thing really good. That's my teaching.
How do you get past? You've got these 19-year-old kids who have been consuming TikTok and Instagram and are like, their dopamine receptors are just primed for more. You're trying to get them to sit down and play some shell voicings for 4 weeks, and they're like, can't you just tell me how to shred? How do you convince someone in that position to just stay patient and work on one thing for that long?
Because I talk a lot of funny stories around. I have a lot of funny stories, Yeah, so just one. Don't worry, don't compare, don't expect too fast, be kind to yourself, So basically, I teach them just, it's a little upsetting because playing Blue Monk and play shell voicing while you're watching Corey Wong's playing on stage, amazing, like that. Why? But those guys spend many years playing something that people don't show up and then feel really bad, but they kept doing it. Then all of a sudden, they understand their style. They dig in certain way. Then they focus that, forget about everything. But so what happened is, like you said, 19 years old, following the TikTok, doing Instagram. Those guys watch too many things, too many influences, too many distractions. So my job to clean up these messes. Do you know what I mean? Means like you can have these, but you have to have a good filter. If you don't filter, guarantee you run out of money, run out of idea, run out of your inspiration, just because too much. So I teach them how to value about things around your life, and then value something good. Then no matter what, you have to really pay attention, you have to believe it, then do it. So in other words, practice chromatic scale or root 37 or like that. I tell them, you have to really believe this is a really good thing to do. Otherwise, if I tell you to do it, then if you feel like somebody told, I was told to do this, then not good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also it's great because I have, Guitar Wisdom, online site, YouTube and Instagram. Everybody watch me, how I play or talk. So now people understand how I teach. So that's actually great because not like somebody showed up that people don't know me, So then if I say play Blue Monk and then what, it's a shocking, but they understand.
It's interesting. And do you do the same thing with all students? Like, do you have a similar trajectory for students, especially at Berklee, or do you kind of customize?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, not exactly do everything same, but Blue Monk and Route 37 things are becoming a little bit more checkpoint about how they can be patient or not. Yeah, so in other words, doesn't matter what I teach, but that's kind of a measurement to see how much they can really focus on things that they don't want to do, but they believe it and they can do. In other words, survival. Sometimes you run out of money, you run out of everything, you got to do something you don't want to do. But then once you do, you learn something to be patient. Then maybe you meet somebody and that person has a lot of different ideas, and then you start doing something. So in other words, I teach them that sometimes rejection, then you have to do something you don't want to do. But that's sometimes you learn some way to do things, or sometimes you met somebody that you never meet before, Then you learn some valuable takeaway lesson, So that's why this semester pretty much all third semester students all new to my lesson. So I just decided to do everybody different speed, but same topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's sort of like a gauntlet they have to walk through.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody does pretty quick, somebody does a little slower. It's fine. Yeah. Then after that, I teach them how to develop their own solo or other idea, Yeah. And after that, kind of open up each students I do different way.
And are these students coming in knowing triad inversions and the like drop three
Yeah,
chords and all that stuff?
yeah,
They already
they
know all
do.
that. That's
They do. They do, but a different level. They do, but takes like for example, if somebody play F triads, instead of dun dun, 2.5 seconds. I tell them 2.5 seconds. If you take, it's no good.
yeah,
You
you're right.
consider. So I said it's easy way to think. 2.5 seconds. If you take it, consider you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, kind of a funny,
Yeah,
but
internalized.
because if I ask you, do you know? If you say yeah, then you have to be like that. Then drop to voicing, pa 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 pa, different key like that. If you take 3 seconds and then you down, you know the parts of it, but you don't know, so you have to work on it. So just like that. Yeah, I ask actually. Then so that's how I pull off subject, into yeah.
How do you teach people to develop their phrasing? When you say, we teach them how to develop their own solo, what's your process there?
Yeah. First, I ask them, do not make any sort of from knowledge. So, in other words, don't think Dorian scale or Dorian shape or -7 arpeggio shape and then all of a sudden, turning into D Dorian groove on YouTube. That doesn't work that way. So first, I think you have to learn the Dorian sound that you like. Then listen to that kind of a style. Then you learn, even like in a 4-bar phrase. When you learn, it's difficult. The guitar has different range. So if you learn even simple, notes like a D, E, G. D, E, G. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Already I know 8 plays to play. So I teach them one phrase, different position. Then comes back to you have to know one string approach. You have to know triads. Otherwise, you have to memorize. We don't memorize. We learn. We be familiar with. So I don't use like words like memorization. I don't teach perfectly. I don't say anything like absolutely or answer, no answer, Yeah, something like that. I teach like a little bit like a life in a philosophy around it, music,
That's really cool. I want to hear about one of the things that really stands out to me about your playing. I mean, there are a lot of things, but the one of the biggest things is your sense of rhythm, your sense of time, and pocket. Can you talk about how you help students develop a sense of rhythm?
Yeah. But the first I want you to understand, my rhythm was really horrible in the beginning. Just because I wasn't really talented or I don't have anything natural thing. I had a little bit natural musicality just because when I was a child, my father played music, and then I studied a little bit of harmonica in kindergarten. So I have a little bit musicality, but time-wise, I don't think I had really great one because when I was 14 or 15, I was in a band, funk band, and leader was a drummer. He told me I don't have really good rhythm. Very clearly, you don't have really good rhythm. You have to get metronome. You have to practice. And I felt really bad. But this is what I did. I got the metronome. I practiced rhythm. So I developed my sense of rhythm. Understand I don't have a good rhythm. So I have to gain this. So like metronome is one idea, but also how I listen. Yeah, move my body to listen because I thought move my body, I gain more phrases. So every time I listen, I move my body. I don't do anything. So when I listen, I don't drive and listen. I can't do it because I have moved. So so I teach students listen to a little bit more bass line. Like I teach always, okay, you want to listen to music. Okay, you have to listen to this. Donny Hathaway live. Then you listen to bass, hi-hat, pockets, those, like parts. Or play, okay, this is program that I do. I teach them play, bass line, dun, 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 and sing a different melody. Because I learned this from play with Paul Jackson, bass player. He plays funky groove and he sings Sex Machine. I was like, oh my God, my part is so easy. You know what I mean? So that's after that, jamming, I was like, okay, I'm going to play bass line and I sing. So that's like one of my curriculum for the students. Play bass line and sing a different melody to make a... So that's why comping like that and then sing Blue Monk. That's part of it, So I have a sort of program to teach them one thing to do, then other thing to do, Also, I teach tapping, so, like an accent. So like a metronome, like that. And a lot of people cannot do it. Like, if somebody playing shuffle, if I ask them do like that, so that's a problem. So almost like not the guitar. It's about the body is not feeling rhythm.
I think it's also about vocabulary, right? Like some people might be comfortable in a funk setting, but they may not be comfortable in a blues shuffle.
That's really true. Like a drummer, for example, somebody can play really good funk, but not really great shuffle. Or somebody play great shuffle, but not great funk. So yeah, but comes back to, I think, shuffle and swing, because that was sort of a popular music in the 40s, So to me, that's why in my lesson, most important thing is Root 37, shell chords. But I don't call shell chords because if you say shell chords, already now recognizing Root 7/3 or Root 37 looks like a shell, you know what I mean? So I get rid of this sometimes, terminology, purposely. But anyway, so I practice like that. That's one of the practice, like a swing, to play chords, play upstroke, and play rhythm, simple. Yeah, so that's part of it, yeah.
Has to do with just embodiment. Makes a lot of sense. Do you have other exercises or things that you do with a metronome to kind of help your students get a better sense of time when the metronome is off?
So basically, I teach them metronome all downbeat, then metronome in 2/4. Then sometime without the metronome, then record it and listen to really carefully. Especially without the metronome, listen carefully the beginning of a tempo and end of a tempo. But I teach them too. You don't want to be perfect, because if you listen to Thrills Gone by B.B. King, beginning of a song really slow, end of it really fast, and who can say he's not a great musician? You know what I mean? Because band is so excited, they go faster. That's fine. I mean, nowadays we have to play with a click sometimes, so you have to play click, and that's one technique, as a session guy, you have to play click, But without the click, you have to be able to play. Oh yeah, very, very important. First 2-3 weeks, I have to keep saying, don't tap your foot.
Why?
Because this extra sound that not so good. I always say, joke though, unless you're Eric Clapton, then he's famous. He can do anything he wants. But you're not famous, You can't do that.
You have to tell that to Lionel Lueke. He's like...
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah, right. Like, because these guys has a playing band. So they do a little bit like that. It doesn't matter because the band kind of fit in. But what I'm saying, if you play solo guitar or duet with somebody, then doing this, it's a little too much,
Uh-huh.
Because your guitar, basically, doesn't matter what guitar play, your guitar is ready. Your guitar is grooving, so you don't have to do that,
Right.
So that's the key. So that's one of big deal for me, not to tap.
Yeah.
So listen to the metronome without the metronome. Yeah, that's a lot of task about that. Yeah, you're correct. That's very important parts. Yeah.
Can I ask you, switching gears just slightly here, I imagine a lot of the people who come to you for lessons, both at Berklee and online and whatnot, they're coming to you at this level where they've learned the pentatonics and they maybe know some major scale stuff. And they come to you and say, "Hey, I want to play like outside, whatever that means. I want to come up with some ideas that are just a little bit like outside of the norm." What techniques what tools do you give them specifically to do that kind of thing?
Okay. First, I play. Funny. First, I ask them, "Can you play everything inside?"
Yeah.
And say no. So basically, they were using a tool shape of pentatonic and key to play around with backing track day and day. So what happened is sometimes hits good, sometimes miss bad, but they don't know what chords they're hitting to. So when you play outside of chords or outside of harmony, a little bit out there, you have to go in. So like almost like you have a excitement a little bit away from it and just going inside. So that way resolve, right? So I tell them play everything with the triads first. Then after that, go outside of the triads, half step below, then go into the triads, or half step above and go into so basically chromaticism, chromatic approach. But I cannot teach chromatic approach without the chord tone. Do you right? So I have to ask, would you like to do this? If not, I cannot teach you. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
How can I teach outside? You don't know inside.
You don't know what inside is, yeah.
Right. So technically, question is correct. How can I play outside? But if somebody talk how to play outside from that, then you're teaching wrong way.
Yeah.
Just because you're teaching advanced student.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say they know their triads, they've got arpeggios, and now they've got this thing where like they're playing sounds like they're in some way doing exercises.
Right.
Send the arpeggio and
Yes.
you know what I mean? And they do that for every chord change.
Right.
How do you get them, what's next after that stage once they can kind of play through changes?
Right. So that case, right, you have to find somebody's that really using chromaticism or a little bit outside of a chords into chords. Then you need to transcribe. Because if you cannot transcribe, you cannot create anything. So that's like a way I say, you should not create anything about chromaticism or, outside to inside. They're almost like learning a language that you're just adding something. Hopefully fits there.
Yeah, you're guessing.
So almost like you speak broken English all the way.
Yeah.
And then you make more confusion. So it's technically, people want to answer technically, but I think comes back to if somebody does great job about chromaticism or like a little outsides like that, I think these people really transcribed. Yeah.
And when you say transcribe, do you think they're writing that stuff down?
Oh, okay, that's great idea. Doesn't matter about writing.
Mm-hmm. Just learn.
Right. Writing is not important. It's like learn exactly what you heard. Then learn exactly what you heard, those chord changes. Like for example, I can hear John Scofield play outside, but playing the idea coming from transcribing Jim Hall, transcribing B.B. King or Albert King, those blues guys. So he mixed a little bit pentatonic and go outside with the Jim Hall chromaticism, So it's not like pentatonic shifting half step. That's not he getting. He just gets the, Jim Hall goes a little bit outside of chromaticism, but he wants to play a little blues in it.
Yeah, he's bobbing.
So that's how I understand like Scofield's really good at it outside, but bluesy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you have to play inside really well. Then you learn from Jim Hall or somebody, Pat Martino, for example. Like that. I didn't create. I mean, like so. Like if somebody say, "How you play Dorian scale like that?" Like then I didn't plug in. That's right. I meant I plug in a
F1.
amplifier.
Turn your bass
So,
down.
a lot of reverb. But, so like so like this one. Like none of them I didn't create. I didn't learn this from tablature or YouTube. I learned from records. So that's the one phrase that Pat Martino plays it. But yeah, Dorian, but so like you have to understand major 7 in it. And he skipped 6 because if you play 6 and everything, it's too much scale. So that's like, ninth to go. That's like a Lydian flat 7, D, or A,
Yeah,
or
like
minor scale.
But
I'm not thinking like that. I don't think like that because that's like a study. When you study, you think, but when you play, you don't think. Yeah, so I teach them how to practice well and how to play well. Don't mix them.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of like Indian rags, which I'm no expert on, but my understanding, it's sort of like a collection of notes, but it's not just the collection of notes. It's not like, it's really about how you ascend and descend. And when you hit this note, you have to approach it from below and then step above it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a whole lot different language. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So it sounds like the entry point into playing outside, let's say, is this chromatic approach. If people get pretty good at that, they learn their enclosures, they learn how to do chromatic approaches on chord tones, and they've got it in time, and they want to go further than that. Where do you take them there?
From there, I think it's really different because you go for more different chord changes, really going like that. But sometimes how to make one bass and how to make a different chord structure from it. So in other words, one chord vamp, how many expression you have, or can you make a band that's playing dominant, band that's playing minor, but you start playing major third, you can make bands to change dominant. Jam band, you can do that. We play minor, but you start getting more third. They sense the third, they adding a third. All of a sudden, chord change, one chord vamp become more dominant, like that. So sometimes I guess two things: more sophisticated chord changes, all the things you are or something like that, Star by Starlight like that, or even rhythm changes, or sometimes one chord vamp. How much can you play? Different ideas. So those two, yeah.
Can you give us some things that people might be able to work on? Let's say over a one chord vamp. What are some ideas that people might be able to work up so that they can expand their vocabulary over that vamp?
So first I think you have to play something, really, really simple. So like if you play, even like if you play E7, E7. So like, like that. So because even there. That's all it. One note's a different finger. If you play F, so I'm playing kind of minor pentatonic-ish because people are familiar with it. But then since the like a little bit, Maltino thing like that. So I basically give them idea, one note vamp to start, pentatonic sound, but not going. That's why I jump key of F, because key of F, a lot of people go. So that's no good, because we decide play from here to here. Like almost connecting like this. They're connecting like that, So this way. Then I teach them a little bit like sort of lick. Like that. So sometimes if you play lick and people recognize, it's kind of fun. Then I ask, can you play? People cannot play right away because not knowing what degree play. So I have, that's tension, because that's, so then this one you don't analyze as a flat 3 because this really goes to major third, so I analyze a chromatic like that, skipping triads, flat 7. So I teach them. So Beatles was playing, learning these kind of blues, then all of a sudden in playing like a full round, then oh wow. So that's like already respecting old American music, which is blues. They add a chromaticism in it, right? Twisting. In other words, they born playing blues. Or see, English people create blues rock really great because blues came from America to England. Everybody feels like, oh, I can play like that. That's so good. So we have to create a new sound, original music. Then that become English blues. So anyway, so like that, then what happens? Okay, can you play? Okay, can you play this way? And sometimes people, I can. Okay, so you exactly. I always go back to triads. Because if you know the triads, you understand the basic position. Then, from there, you add a chromaticism of flat 7. So I don't really teach. I teach, I teach a little bit like that, seventh, just in case to, But kids, once they can play, okay, stop, never play like that.
Once they have the shape, yeah.
Right. Well, once they know the shape and the sound, never ever play that. That's it.
Yeah.
Because if you play, it sounds like exercise.
Right.
Already done. Like that, Yeah. I mean, it's hard to play one chord vamp, but I give them idea how to feel it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chords, yeah, basically, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest differences between music education now versus when you were coming up? Because you went to Berklee too, right?
Yes.
What's the difference?
What's the difference? I mean, still, great teacher is great teacher. They always, play honest to students and teach really well. Nowadays, a little bit more computer involved, So, little bit easy to even teacher easy to use a loop pedal or use even Berklee in the late 90s band in a box, cut backing track like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you think students are moving faster through the curriculum and like to higher levels of skill, or do you think there's something that's lost in having the computer at kind of the center of the learning experience?
No, I'm not saying computer is bad, but just I think we need to make students work a little harder. Harder on the, basic level, you know what I mean? Like that, in other words, practice more rhythm guitar or, like that. But also, especially to me, just myself about education, people follow too much common sense. Common sense is curriculum that has been working or using, and then just follow the curriculum, which is good. But curriculum has to have, 12 weeks or 15 weeks course. That means every week, supposedly different thing, right? Sometimes. But a lot of people don't have that fast pace because technology helps them too much, so they can't follow the curriculum sometimes. Really. You know what I mean? Because too many easy things around, so they cannot figure out things. So sometimes we have to have a sub-program, I think, help them to focus on one section a little deeper. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm not saying curriculum is bad, but I think that's a little too fast for people sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. I think self-paced is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another reason I away from teaching class.
Because the pace of class is...
Well, I used to teach, blues ensemble, Stevie Ray Vaughan ensemble, funk ensemble, and I taught, blues guitar lab, funk guitar lab, like that. But then what happened is 6 to 8 students there, and I, showed an example, and everybody learned that. But I've always felt I'm kind of showing them what to learn, but I'm not taking care of them how to learn. Detail. They ended up, each student take my private lessons. So I thought, okay, just forget these things, because class is good, multiple people you can teach and you can, do that. But I think individually, if you want to work detailed, I think that's the best way to do it,
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
So I think education itself, I think, not bad, but just the pace is a little fast because of technology. So sometimes as an educator, we have to take care of a little bit more detail. Yeah, or slow down or provide more video that follows the curriculum. You know what I mean? Like I do, for example, I teach Blue Monk. So Blue Monk, tonight, you can watch that.
Yeah, you can break it down.
So you can miss fingering or tempo.
Yeah.
Route 37 swing, group, then you watch that, so...
Just out of curiosity, I also think that a lot of people who are going to watch this are curious about it. What did you, when John came to study with you, what were the things that he was learning?
He was learning foundation. Yeah, so he already developed his blues playing, skills. Play like Stevie Ray Vaughan, in a way, you know what I mean? So, yeah, what happened was I gave funk clinic on a summer program, and he was on summer program. He saw me, so he wanted to study with me. So he studied with me from, after that semester. And one thing I know, every Tuesday 9 a.m. his lesson was. So my Tuesday 9 is really important for me because that's the beginning of my week. So I fully prepare. I get there really early, warm up and everything. So he's there, and he wants to learn a lot. He's really eager to learn, and he wants to be best guitar player he can be, So I asked him to play a little bit, and improvisation is really great, but then picking was a little rough, so first I asked him to practice chromatic scale really slow so that the picking gets a little bit more smoother, and then his alternate picking was a little bit off. Means too many down, down, up, down. It's just very random, So I thought I have to fix that a little bit. So I pull up Berklee guitar method and some duet. He didn't like that one, but I made him to practice to fix the picking. Then next one,
Etudes or something?
yeah, what's that?
They're like classical etudes or like duet.
Yeah, duet. I pick few. Then I practice few weeks with him exactly what to play. Yeah, and then after like playing shuffle. Yeah, like that. Like that. But then just like everybody, like that. So no picking noise. Then dynamics, and then amp setting. No reverb, more treble, less bass. So that's like a real big lesson to him because he loves to have a reverb on. Stevie Ray, like that. So almost like no tone rolled off, and that, it's just a lot rhythm, and then a lot this. I remember we did this a lot, like that. Like really difficult to do muting, so I teach him like from here to here because people want to do like that. So like this is hard to do. Like here, I'm saying here and here, but most people do like this. Okay, I'm not saying that. I do this way. One sound. The fingering. A lot of people want to do like that, so I just change it a bit. 2, 3, 4. So first finger, mute. So no harmonics. Like that. Yeah, so basically a lot of triads, Root 37, sort of cleanness and dynamics. Yeah, dynamics like even like I teach sometimes like this. I have a reverb on. So I teach them sometimes, play a little bit, not strong, but then pick a little. So this way, reverb, it's not triggered. So your picking is normal. Reverb is on. A little bit more, reverb. So sometimes, just like usually around midterm. Reverb on, right? So this is what we learn. Turn up so that loud, very difficult. Then when we do this, you only allowed to play 2, 3 notes. Never goes to big phrase like that. Yeah. Then a lot of people surprised, and I teach them without the amp. You play same way. That's reverb is a lot. Right. That's how you practice. Because guitar and amp is one unit. So you don't want to play. That's horrible. Then because then you're not using any picking dynamics,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
totally.
almost like
this is the problem with people picking or practicing electric without an amp.
Yeah, so that's why I teach, when you practice without the amp, right? Like that. But most people practice like this. So with the amp, sounds like this, I'm screaming. I mean, people play that or something. So that's more dynamics, Yeah, so that's I taught him, more dynamics and more clean technique.
Love that.
But go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing. And that was actually correct instead of teaching him a lot of licks and stuff, because now he improved more because he have the foundation. He has more room to improve. If I give him more information about how to play, then he stuck with technique, then he can grow. So I felt so good to see him, like I do. You still, learning.
Yeah. How far down the theory rabbit hole did he end up going?
Just like everybody, just like simple harmony and understanding diatonic harmony. And once you understand basic intervals and basic harmony, then you don't have to really learn harmony, because you want to create your own music, so that based on the traditional harmony, but whatever you hear sounds great, you have to really follow your intuition and follow. So basically, once you hear, if you can transcribe any good music in the pop music, then you're all set. Yeah, that's all you need. Basic harmony, you know what I mean? And then once you understand, then you can create your own. So you don't have to have too many levels of a high like difficult information about harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears a little bit, because I know you have a new book that I guess it's not a new book, but you have a new book.
Right.
Now, can you talk to us about what that book is all about?
Sure. Yeah. What's happening is this book called 耳と感性でギターが弾ける本. That's Japanese language, but if you translate straight, almost like play by ear and feeling. That means I'm Berklee, professor, but I'm teaching so many parts that not so much about reading music or written music. It's just about how to train your ear and sense of time and sense of harmony, and 8 different chapter about detail. And then written music sold probably 80,000 more copies, and we reprint 20 times. Amazing. Still keep going, just because I'm active on social media like YouTube and Instagram, so people still find out this. And since I have Guitar Wisdom, which is online lesson, which I teach most of this idea, so I thought if I translate this one, this is a really great companion book for my Guitar Wisdom site, because this is all my teaching, all my philosophy in it, about how to learn triads, not about cage system. So yeah, I'm not saying cage system is bad, but just how you learn. So like first section, like how to set up your surrounding, and then go back to foundation, with this fingerings, feeling rhythm by body, so like a lot tapping exercise. Learn scale by intervals. That means learn by scale, not about visually, all about intervals, and then understand triad harmony. Again, this is all caged form and all that stuff, but I teach triads in different way. Oh, blues. Learn blues feeling. So this is how to listen blues music, how to learn in my way, correct way. Then this one, how to push yourself to listen, become a great listener. So how to listen music, like how many instruments there and the form. So this is a really interesting way, because listening music sounds like easy. You just put the music, but how you listen. So I just made it how to listen. Like when you listen records, side A, side B. So we have to decide side A or side B. So if you're a musician, I always say, if you listen CD, divide in half, you don't listen other half till tomorrow morning. Do you know what I mean? You don't wanna ruin whole thing. You just excitement half. You know what I mean? Just like that. It's crazy. Yeah.
This is of a myth.
And then how to obtain like good good situation to develop your musical, like learning. So this is very, very me. In other words, nobody talk about like that. Usually people talk about how to practice, how to learn what. This is more like around it.
Foundational, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about this before we started shooting, but it sounds like you've taken this book and your daughter helped you translate it.
Yeah. So this is really funny because my old producer of this book, and then he really want to, translate this English because he understand this will help a lot of people. Yeah, he hire like translation firm, and then translate everything great. 80% is correct. I start translate other parts, but then my daughter read everything. Says this is not sounds like you at all. Everything sounds makes sense, but I don't know. So then I said, okay, only way I can do is the way I wrote this book is this. I talked to my producer. He recorded. Then he transcribed what I said. Then he, fixed it, format. I think I have to do the same way. Otherwise, I cannot make this same sound, So I record everything to my cell phone. So Samantha, my daughter, transcribed, then change the format and change words and idea, because Japanese culture sometimes doesn't translate well in American culture, so we have to replace or change it a bit, So she really helped me. So that's like really almost like I would say halfway she kind of composed a lot idea, and plus she's really working for my Guitar Wisdom now, doing promotion, making these t-shirts, so she understands my philosophy so well. Yeah, she even when I do streaming live, she write everything I will talk. She just, amazing. She organized really, really well, Yeah.
How old is she?
She's about 29 now. Yeah.
She's a musician?
No, she's not a musician. She was dancer, But she always loved music. But then she started working for me, helped me on my YouTube channel. So she started around the pandemic. I think she studied a lot about social media promotion, all that stuff. So she understand that part. Then she understand how I teach,
Mm-hmm.
And she teaches, exercise and those. So she understands how to teach people too. So that was a great combination.
That's awesome.
Just right time, yeah.
What a fun way to connect with your daughter too.
Yeah. So she really organized my book and rewrote a lot of things, So that book really kind of teamwork, really. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Tomo, I want to be respectful of your time. I know we are here. I really appreciate this. This was wonderful. I learned a lot, and I'm sure folks who are watching this.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you again. And
you're welcome.
Is there any, if people want to follow along with what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah. Yes. I have a Instagram, YouTube channel, and you can follow those. But I highly recommend to join my Guitar Wisdom. This is, subscription, so it's not free, but I guarantee if you join in a few months you learn so much, just because I organize these lessons, and my daughter Samantha and my partner George, my wife's older brother, we really worked on lessons and forum. We have really amazing community there. So in other words, if you introduce yourself, just like answering my questionnaire, I post my questionnaire so people introduce themselves, and then everybody, like regular members, tell you how to follow the site, which is amazing. Everybody helping, together, working, yeah, wonderful.
That's so awesome! What an amazing resource, and you've been such a great educator for decades at this point. And
thank you. Yeah, lucky to have this job. Amazing. I mean, can you imagine? I make a living helping people and the people happy.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's the coolest.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Well, Tomo, thank you so much again. I appreciate you. And
Thank you.
People can follow along and subscribe to Guitar
Yeah.
Wisdom, and maybe we'll have you on in person sometime. That'd be fun.
Sure, definitely.
I'm your
Definitely.
next.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.